Hey YouTube, you get Rox27 coming at you with a Frogology video. This one is pretty much about how to use the frog engine, use the frog engine itself. I've done one on just swap frog, and I've done one on what a good frog engine looks like. But this is pretty much how you use frogs in comparison with other frogs, or in sync with other frogs and the deck itself, and like when to special swap frog, and how to work out of the hands where there's nothing but frogs. And hopefully these will answer questions about that if you have any about that. So I'm just going to start with simple things about the frog engine. This one involves swap frog and dupe frog. These two cards are very necessary in the deck and you play them. Okay, one time I was reading coverage for a YCS, and it was to get to day 2. It was Sea Lancer versus some other deck, I can't remember. But the reason he lost, and I was sitting there the whole time as I was reading, I was like, oh, he's gonna do this and he's gonna lose because of it. He needed Treeborn Engrave. He had both of these in hand, and the opponent had 2 back row. He pitches the dupe frog and special the swap frog gets warninged. Now if you really need Treeborn in your graveyard that badly and you're afraid of warning, then do not pitch the dupe frog. If you're afraid of something that's stopping the swap frog, don't pitch the dupe frog, just normal him, and then if it gets warning, you can still set the dupe next turn, search another swap. And especially this format where there's or the upcoming format, it's not there yet, but it's pretty much here. It's pretty much the next format. It is the next format. What am I talking about? And then pretty much you go search the swap, and it can't get warning twice because there's only one warning. And yeah, do not pitch the dupe frog first. It can make you lose the game, and it's just not the best way to use the frog engine. You're going to want to save the dupe unless there's no back row or you really need a special summon. And that's pretty much just covers that. I hate when I see people do that, and when a swap frog gets warning and they lose because of it, when they could have just easily avoided it by just waiting another turn. Also, a big question is when to special the swap frog. Like, a lot of people, if they just see a handful of frogs, again, swap and dupe we'll use because I just have them on me right now. Swap and dupe, they see these, they're just like, okay, pitch, and then I can thin my deck out. You really, making swap frog having the ability to special summon really gives the deck the speed and different variation in plays that it doesn't normally have. Let's say you open these 2 and also a Caius. You don't have a Treeborn Engrave yet. Now you have 2 options. Of course, obviously you have 3 other cards in hand, but just with these, you can pitch the dupe to special and get Ronin's Engrave with the Treeborn, or you can go for the slower play, which is summon swap frog, send Treeborn Engrave, and then bounce it back to hand. Next turn, special Treeborn, tribute it for Caius, and then you still have these 2 in hand. And this is a play you wouldn't be able to do last turn if you had pitched the dupe, but now you can pitch the dupe, special the swap frog, send a Ronin Totem to grave, then you attack for 34 after you banish something. Swap frog's cost bounces back Caius to hand, and now you have the dupe and a Ronin. You can banish the dupe, special the Ronin, overlay for Gotchi, next turn special Treeborn, sack for Caius. I mean, that just shows you, if you really need to, if you only have 1 Monarch and it's pretty much your saving grace, you're not going to want to just send the frog engine from your hand to graveyard just to thin the deck out, because swap frog's ability to special summon really does give the deck speed and variation in plays, and can really leave them facing the same Caius more than once. I've used one Caius 4 times at the Houston Regional at the beginning of last format. I used one Caius 4 times against Chaos Dragons. I won that game because it was my only Monarch and I drew a whole hand of frogs. It was not fun at all, but if I wasn't able to use this play and keep the frogs in my hand, then I would have lost that game. But I knew, it's not always best to dump all the frogs in your hand. So I just wanted to get that point across. With Lad, how to use the frog engine with Lad. If you open anything like this, or instead of the dupe, this, either of these with a swap frog and a Lad, you're gonna want to pitch this. Let's say I just have the dupe. You pitch the dupe, send the Treeborn to grave, banish the dupe, special the Ronin, sack for Lad. The first turn Lad is very important for frogs. It's a great way to work Lad with the deck. But also, keeping, like, you might not want to pitch the frog, because if you have a lad on the field already, then, and if it has like 2 negates even, like sometimes I want to reuse it when it has 2 negates, then you special the Treeborn twice, and pretty much it's all negated. You pitch the water, special the Swap Frog, bounce the lad, tribute again. I'm sorry if you guys can't see this, like my camera angle does not have that big of a view right now, but if y'all can see it then that'll be fine, but it has to be kind of clumped up. So that's another reason you don't want to pitch your frogs that fast. And of course, if you have a card like Tragodia, you're obviously not going to want to dump a whole hand of frogs if Tragodia is like your only monarch. Monarch. Tragodia is a monarch now. If it's your only play. Yeah, that's another thing. Like, it's not always best to special summon the Swap Frog immediately, and that's still just the point. It's a big part of the Frog Engine's formula, is you don't want to lose the special summon ability with Swap Frog. And now, another problem the deck has is either opening too many monarchs or too many frogs, and that's the only reason this deck, like this deck is one of the most consistent deck ever, and it just has that problem, is the weird opening hands. Let's say you open Swap, double dupe, and like a Ronin. This is it only works with double dupe. This is the easiest way to get out of those really bad frog hands, is if you open double dupe. Otherwise you just hope to draw. But if you open double dupe in this big frog hand, then this is what you do. You pitch the Ronin, special the Swap Frog, dump a Treeborn, bounce back. Now usually in any Frog Monarch deck you never normal summon again with the Swap Frog, but in this case you're going to normal summon a dupe frog, and then you're going to normal summon the Swap Frog, dump something else, return it back to hand and normal the other dupe. This creates a dupe block which will help you stall and get advantage, so you don't lose hand advantage, and also thins the deck out, and then you still have the swap in hand, so it's a really good play if you open double dupe. And I just wanted to show you guys those. That's pretty much the end of this video. I guess there wasn't much to talk about, but I just wanted to show you guys like some really important things with the Frog Engine that are often missed or misused, and people will lose because they don't know what to do with it. So I just thought I'd show you guys this. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, whatever. This was Yu-Gi-Oh! X97. Bye, YouTube.